Well, let's start off with introducing people to Clocked. What is
Yes.
Clocked about? Give us a little synopsis of the film.
Okay, so Clocked is about an 18-year-old Puerto Rican boxer named Adolfo, who comes from a conservative Catholic family in Miami, and he's secretly saving his winnings from boxing in order to eventually pay for transition surgery. And while in the process of self-discovery and attempting to become comfortable with who they truly are, they find an outlet in the world of drag.
It's such a interesting story, and honestly a story that I think is underrepresented in filmmaking and in storytelling. And so it's really awesome that you wanted to bring this story to into film form. And this is also your first feature.
That is correct. This is my debut feature. I wrote it and directed it. Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about that. Jumping into your debut feature with a story that is this important. What made this the story that inspired you to become a feature filmmaker?
Yeah, so I mean, this story comes from like a lot of layers, a lot of personal places, in the sense of down here in Miami, I've been a part of the theater scene for about 6 years at the location in the film, actually, Villain Theater. And when you're in any sort of theater community, you find out and you see all these incredibly talented queer people that are funny and smart and courageous. And then you get to know them on a deeper level. Once you become friends with them, you find out that the only reason that they found Villain or the theater that they're a part of or their creative outlet was because they needed to find a place where they thought they would be welcome and accepted. And that was not present in most of their home lives, especially down here in Miami, where there's a lot of heavily religious Hispanic families. So I found it to be very interesting that these people who were lost usually find their outlet in a place that is not only creatively liberating, but also just genuinely accepting. Um, so I really just wanted to tell a story for that person who's, like I like to say, in between families. The person between the family they were born into and then the family that they choose. So that was kind of my mission with Clocked, was like a love letter to the friends I've made over the years and to people who are like them, who are just looking for that acceptance.
Yeah, and on the subject of acceptance, you were talking about how people are accepting and receiving this film. Give me more about people's reactions where it's
Yeah,
screened.
it's weird in a really interesting way because it's about a queer Hispanic teenager, and I thought that this film would have honestly like a fairly niche audience, but I thought they would heavily impact that audience. And at the festivals that we've played at so far, not only is that a group that feels authentically represented, which is was my goal throughout the entire process, but we also have like there was one experience that I had with our lead actor, Jermaine Arroyo, who's phenomenal, by the way, just as a person as well. But we had an experience in Sedona, which was the first place we screened at the Sedona International Film Festival, where this 60, maybe 65-year-old white woman like came to us after the screening and said, "You guys use the term non-binary in your Q&A because our lead is non-binary." And she was like, "I think that's what my daughter is. And I have not known how to communicate with my daughter for years. And I feel like after watching your film, I can finally feel comfortable enough to talk with her about it." And so we've had so many experiences with just like the elderly population of like, oh, damn, I think I might have messed up with someone in my life because I didn't understand them. And this film is giving me like an inside look into what I couldn't see before. And to have that impact was completely unexpected, but also remarkably rewarding so far. Yeah.
How cool is it that film, even in a fictional storytelling, can be so educational? for people and be so just insightful.
When I think when you lead with empathy and you lead with the idea of trying to just make things as authentic as possible, I think only good can come out of it tonight. I think, like when people cook and they say like, "Oh, what's your secret ingredient?" And like the old grandmother's like, "Oh, it's just made with love." I think that is a actual ingredient in all forms of art. I think it's tangible. Yeah.
That's awesome and inspiring to hear how much passion you put into this because they think that these stories should be told authentically and from a place of love and empathy and I think from that comes this natural a natural ability to give insight to people and also just a space for people who do relate with those stories to feel seen and then for people who don't relate with those stories or have not been exposed to those stories to have that experience and I think what is and film is a safe place for us to just kind of take in what's being expressed. Let's talk about casting. You mentioned Jermaine.
Yes.
I want to talk about how you went about casting the film and working with the cast in all of that process. Tell me more about that part.
Me and one producer literally sat through close to between like 800 and 1,000 total submissions um for about like 10 roles, 13 roles, something along those lines. Just me and her, and a whole bunch of headshots and looking at reels. And then we narrowed it down for about, 10, 20 people for each role from there. Zoom interviews with all of them. I mean, some people you watch their interviews, you watch their like auditions, and you just know. And then other people, you have to warm up to them, or you're like, maybe it could work for them. I think with a vast majority of the people that we selected, by the second reading, we were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Jermaine actually, uh, and we also cast people in this film from Chicago, LA, New York, Miami. So we really had like a wide reach trying to figure out who would be best for these roles. Um, Jermaine, during their second audition with us, told us that literally a couple days before that they just came out to their loved ones as non-binary and how that was like scary for them. And we knew like there was something emotional and real about the experience that they would bring to the film because so much of what they were just personally going through in that stage of their life would show through this transformative process that they go through during the film. So Jermaine was truly like when they're crying in the film or when they're having those moments with the lipstick, like those are all like nearly firsts for Jermaine as well, where they were able to express that, without hiding or without judgment or without, and that's what I think brings such a rawness and realness to their role and their performance. Danelle, who plays Ramon, the older brother, we our casting director slash producer of the film, Maritza Cabrera, uh, she recommended him for the lead for Adolfo, but he read the script and he was like, I actually feel so much more connected with Ramon, the brother. And what was really cool about that is Danelle is an Olympian gymnast in real life. They were on Team USA.
No
And
way.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And so to have him be the trainer of his brother, there was like a natural trainer ability, things that they've gone through that they were able to bring to the role. Um, Armand, who plays Miss Cleo in the film, was found through, we looked through a bunch of people on the auditions. We couldn't find the right person, and we literally found Armand through Facebook. Our casting director literally was like, "Does anyone know like a drag queen that's also an actor?" And she got like 8 responses that were like Armand Fields, Armand Fields, Armand Fields, Armand Fields. I'm like, I
Wow.
guess we have to. I was like, I guess we have to, audition this guy. And Armand auditioned, and we were like, "Yep, all right." Like, holy, like Facebook can be a weird place, but it can also be a beautiful place. I don't know if I'll use it for casting in the future, but it definitely worked this time. Um, the mom is a teacher down here in she is the head of the theater program at Barry University, I believe, which is a school down here. Um, the dad, Victor Rivers, he's been in like 50 films. Um, a Jasmine, the Asian drag queen, was in audition, and literally we knew from the first audition that they would be it because they gave their interview, they gave their audition in their mom's bathroom or something because they were like in a place and they couldn't put up the blue screen or anything. They sat in that bathroom and they read that huge monologue from memory and made us
Wow.
cry. Yeah, and just made us cry in the first audition. We were like, all right, that's
That's
your Jasmine. Yeah.
That's so awesome. It's you're talking about the cast and how you're casting them, and this is so cool to kind of hear the background because I think that when you see everyone in their roles, they fit, and so I think you guys did a great job with
Thank you.
picking out the right people for the right roles. Um, but on the subject of the drag queens in the show or in the
Yes.
movie, I kind of wanted to talk about that component of the film, which is filming some of the drag shows that happen here. Tell
Yeah.
me about that process and like how fun that was, or maybe some
So
challenges that came with that.
the theater that we used is the theater I used to perform at a lot, and they used to host drag shows. So I was very privy to seeing what drag shows were like in that space in the past, trying to emulate them, having that projector screen in the back with the any image they wanted going up. The hardest part about shooting those scenes is you highly underestimate how many extras you need.
That's fair.
Extras is will determine how wide you can do the shot, how close you have to do the shot. Um, that was the hardest challenge. We have members of the crew standing in the audience because of the amount of extras we could get. Um, oh yeah, there's some like I can point them out like throughout the whole film. Like, oh, that's our key grip. Oh, that's like they're yeah. But everyone was so down and so open, and I think it helped make the film so much better. The drag show sequences. I mean, oh, Eddie, the person who played Eddie, which is Armand's boyfriend in the film, is a choreographer in real life.
Nice.
So they helped. They helped with some of the performances. Armand is a drag queen. Armand is Cleopocalypse in real life. Like
Oh, nice.
there's a separate drag name that was initially in the script, and they were like, "Since I'm a drag queen, can I just keep my name?" And I was like, "Yeah." And what I thought was so great about that was they hand a card to Adolfo during the movie, and they're like, "Oh, but my real name is," and they say their real name, and for them to have so much faith in this character and in this script to be like, if I'm going to play this role, I'm going to be fully me was surreal and also meant that something was that we had something good going. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Um, this movie tackles some really challenging things, as I think we kind of alluded to at the beginning, with the kind of story that it is. Talk to me more about managing the themes here. I mean, we have Adolfo coming out. That's obviously what the one of the biggest themes of the movie. But there's also a subplot about trans stories here, and one of the drag queens that something comes up with them that shakes the community there. Tell me about including those themes and making sure that you're saying the things that you want to say, but also sticking, like making sure that it's all cohesive with the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah. So, I mean, with being from and within Florida, um, we knew that the queer community was in uh, a bad place politically, governmentally, um, hate crimes going up. Um, and initially, that was a topic that wasn't even in the first like six drafts of the script. But I came to the conclusion that it's so deserving of a place that I made it the B storyline and completely scrapped the previous B storyline because when people are marginalized and hated against for being nothing but themselves or who they want to be, it's so painful for these people and for these individuals to see a film that this is touched upon and that you know the heterosexual people can see as well without it being preachy. Because the one thing that I don't like about a lot of films that tackle traumatic subjects or deal with touchy things is they dive too far into it and make it the point without really having its impact on the characters around. It's just like we're gonna throw this in here to just say we did it. And no, this was a big discussion with uh, all of our actors. Every LGBTQ role in the film is played by an LGBTQ actor. So this was a subject that we wanted to handle with care and show that, uh, you know, if Adolfo wants to be a part of this community and wants to have this life, that this is a potential challenge they will face. And that is how much we wanted to dig into it. It wasn't supposed to be about like that wasn't supposed to be the theme of the film, right? But when a character is going through something, you want to show the audience and them the potential pitfalls or dangers that come with doing so. So that's how we wanted to approach it. Yeah.
Very cool. And I think I really admire what you're saying about making sure that it's woven in a way that's not preachy, because I do think that some films want to make their point so strongly that it kind of backfires and it's not as organically incorporated, and so it's not as easy to receive by people who may not identify or may have a hard time with these topics. And so yeah, I very much appreciate that about this film. Let's talk about you as a filmmaker. We had mentioned
Okay.
that this was your first feature film, and that you're in theater. I guess I just want to know more about your aspirations in filmmaking. And now that you've dived into making Clocked and you're getting this out to the world, like what about Clocked makes you either want to keep telling stories, keep doing filmmaking,
Yeah.
or yeah, the direction that you want to go with filmmaking.
No, I want to do this forever, truly. Like if I have the opportunity to do this for the rest of my life, I will gladly take that torch. Um, no, I so before Clocked, writing was my first love. Um, and it continues to be a love of mine, even though now I have like the directing bug. Um, so like at the moment I'm currently writing my 11th feature. So like I've been cranking out scripts, all different genres. Um, I think all of them touch on some form of social issue with once again without like preaching on it too much. But I think that's something I always would like to have like at least hinted at or thematically within my films. Um, I would like to have a diverse portfolio of films. So like Coen Brothers wise, like all their films are so different, but you can totally tell it's like Coen Brothers style film. Um, or how Jordan Peele has become this horror icon, but
Mhm.
you know that there's going to be funny moments throughout each of his films, which goes into his past in comedy. So I would definitely like to have a diverse portfolio of films where you can be like, oh, I know this is, a Noah Salzman movie because like of these things, even though they're so drastically different. Um, yeah, but most importantly, it's the experiences that you foster on set with the people, with the actors, with the crew. That means the most to me. With Clocked, I truly think that we did like foster such a connection on set that we are now just like this little Clocked family. Um, and that means a lot to me too. So to just direct with empathy, direct with open ears for as long as I can is the goal. Yeah.
And having now done your feature directorial debut, what would you recommend to aspiring filmmakers who might be interested in making that step?
So before I directed, I had probably every odd job on set. I've worked on sets for like 12 years now, something like that. Um, I've done boom. I've helped the grips, PA, assistant to the director. The only thing I haven't done yet is like work in the makeup department. Um, so I think it's really important to have crew experience, which a lot of people probably don't say, but when you're on set and like when your grip says like when you ask like how long is it going to take, and they're like 45 minutes, you know that like they're not messing around, and you know that they're actually going faster than that should take. So that you know that you don't have to yell at them. Everyone's comfortable, so much more comfortable
Hmm.
when you understand that they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
Um, when you have that trust. So I would say work crew. Um, if you have written shorts, maybe try to expand one of your shorts into a feature first. If you don't know how to come up with that incredible initial idea, just try to expand upon something you already have. Um, listen, it's if you're a director, it's okay to listen to other people. It's okay to listen to your actors who have taken the task of embodying your characters. I have this thing, I think Greta Gerwig said it too, where it's like, once I cast you, like the flame of that character, that spark of that character is now yours. I have passed that torch onto you. So if you think the character would react a certain way that doesn't read in the script in a certain scene, I'm so down to try it your way. Let's get what it says in the script, right? Like, let's do that take. And then if we have the time and you feel like this is something that needs to be done instead, let's give it a shot. I think it's about listening. So much of directing should be listening. So to any young filmmaker, keep your ears open, especially to your actors who have taken on this role for you. And because everyone's name's in the credits. Everyone's name's in the credits. So you know if who messed up who messed up the shot. If the sound's crappy, the sound guy's name. It's right there. It's with everybody's name is in the same place. So you have to at least go into the process assuming that everyone wants to do a great job because everyone's name ends up in the same spot at the end of the movie. Yeah.
That's a really valid point. I mean, yeah, I can totally see that being really good constructive feedback for someone who's going into this industry, into this profession, and I can see that how that would improve a project. So thank you for that. I guess to wrap up, I have one more question, and really it's just maybe setting expectations for people coming into Clocked. What do you think people should know before uh going into watching Clocked, what's something that you would say to someone who says I'm interested in seeing this movie? What should they know?
So, although Clocked is a queer movie, what I think we've realized in making this film, and it's so we've screened at 5 festivals. Only one of them has been a queer festival, and we've won an award at each of the festivals we've played at so far. So
Oh,
it shows that although some people are iffy about watching a queer film because they're not queer, there are universal themes that happen throughout the film that people can relate to, whether you're 15 years old or, like I said earlier, 65 years old. And if you will go into the film with any form of expectation, just go into it knowing that you should expect an authentically told story with a lot of heart, made by a lot of people who really cared as they made it. And I think that shows throughout the film. Um, I hope you liked it. I hope the people who've seen it enjoyed it. Um, but our reviews so far, or from our audiences, because we've had very few actual reviews out about it yet. But if the audience's reactions tell us anything, it's like they laugh when they're supposed to laugh, they cry when they're supposed to cry, and there's been no better feeling than being in a room with our lead actor Jermaine and seeing people like come up to them after the film and being like, "This meant so much to me," and we just want to keep having that experience, whether it be in festivals or whenever we get picked up for distribution. That's our goal. It's just like for this to mean a lot to a lot of people. Yeah.
that's really great. No, I really do appreciate you taking this time to chat with me about the film, and I'm happy that you reached out to me and I was able to get to see it. It's so cool to kind of be at the beginning of your directing career and have this conversation with you.